if we play and teach the fundamentals playing off two and understand moving the ball, playing strong, and giving the guys confidence to shoot the ball, ultimately, as the team forms an offensive identity, the ball's going to find the right people.
Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Today we are joined by the head boys basketball coach at San Marcos High School, Dan Miller. Coach Miller is in his 20th year as a head coach. He spent 9 years as the head coach at Seven Lakes in Katy, where he led his teams to 3 district championships and 2 regional appearances. After Seven Lakes, Coach Miller was the head coach at LeTourneau University for 7 years. They went from worst to first over that time, winning the ASC and going to 2 NCAA D3 tournaments. At San Marcos, he's led the Rattlers to 3 winning seasons in his first 3 years, with a 38-4 record in 2022-2023. Coach Miller has over 400 career wins as a head coach, with 100 plus in college and 300 plus in high school. He's the founder and host of the Let's Talk Basketball podcast with Dan Miller. Before you hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at JAMODI Podcast.
The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
There he is.
Sweet. Okay. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. How about you?
Man, good. We just got done with the athletic period and guys did pretty good, so it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, so athletic period starts what time?
So we're kind of spoiled here because we get the guys in at 2:45 and we go to 4:15. We're double blocked, so it's a little bit longer periods. UIL, we're only supposed to be on the court in the off season 60 minutes. So we do 60 minutes and then we'll do some enrichment or weightlifting, things like that.
That's awesome, though. That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. How are things going up there?
Living the dream here. I just a couple study halls every day and some off periods and good kids that love the Lord and are good students, and somewhere down there like basketball. So all good.
Okay. Right. Like it, love it, live it. And some of them do a little bit of all three, right? I like
Yeah. A couple that love it, but I think it's going to be a special group. How are you feeling about yours?
Good. And when I focus on our guys, I feel good. Our district is so tough, Coach. We have Judson, Clemens, Steele, Johnson. It's just like there's no basement team. So last year, it was the first year that I was a high school coach that I think I can remember not making the playoffs. We came in the league with 19 wins and we finished with 21 because we went 2-8.
Wow.
Just couldn't get over the top. But we like our team a little bit better this year as far as I think this year we can crack back in there. We came off the year 2 years ago where we were 38-4, but we lost that whole class. So we were pretty young last year.
I would imagine, talking about scheduling a little bit, you probably need to have some juggernauts and take them through a little bit of fire early on to get them prepared for such a juggernaut of a district.
Right. Exactly. And I think that, honestly, like this group is hungry from missing it last year, missing the playoffs. And I'm excited how they're working and they're really connected. And that's, as a coach, that's one of the biggest things, right?
Yeah. I first want to thank you so much for giving up your time. We had scheduled to be on a few days ago, hurt my back, and I'm too ashamed to even say how, but it just wasn't anything cool and it wasn't anything athletic. And as a 42-year-old, it just seems like if I sneeze wrong now, it might happen. But I just want to thank you for being so flexible with me, giving up your time. I'm a huge fan just from the Let's Talk Basketball podcast. You're a great high school coach, and you did an amazing job in college. I feel like you've done it all, man. So thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate it. And right back at you. I followed you and, obviously, just listen to your podcast. You do a great job with your podcast. I can tell, I haven't seen you coach live, but just from what you say and how you coach, I'm very impressed. And we have a lot of similar qualities too, just the way you play offense. I know we'll talk a little bit about it, but I think we're similar in a lot of ways. So appreciate you.
Always excited when somebody chooses the favorite style of play to teach. And
Yeah.
when I find out that, especially it kind of, is in line with how we like to play. So yeah, I imagine a lot of fun things there. And again, just all of the experiences that you had, and I feel like anytime I get to talk to somebody like you that does something like this, I'm also bringing in all of those other guests that you've had, because I know you probably feel the same way. I pick up at least something from every one of these talks. And so it's almost like we get to bring other coaches in with us.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, is just connecting the game, right? Growing the game, as Chris Oliver says, and that's what I know you're doing. And we try to do it down here. I don't know how you do it once a week, man. I think I've done it for 2 years now, and I got 22 podcasts.
I'm a process guy, and I just have a pretty good rhythm with it now.
Right.
In the way that the recording goes. And basically my wife has allowed for my at least Saturday or maybe Sunday just to be dedicated a big chunk of it to what's up the next week. And it just seems to be working. And I'm at the point where I'm not inconvenienced at all by doing it. And like you said, I love getting to share the game, but connect with coaches that I normally wouldn't, and also give those coaches a platform that typically, unless you win state, then you get to go to TABC and talk in front of everybody.
Right.
Most of us won't do that, or there's a good chance we won't do that. And so this is a good opportunity.
Absolutely. You do a great job with it too. So I appreciate you having me on.
One of my favorite things to do is to get to learn about other programs, other coaches, their standards and pillars. Some people call that culture, but standards and pillars, we all have them. And that's actually a big reason why I started doing this. Is I was talking with a girls coach years ago during the pandemic over Zoom. We were talking shooting, but then we got into a little bit of how some of the things that she does to build up the culture in her program. And I thought, this is fantastic. Like, I would never know this about her if we didn't have this talk. So this is one of my favorite things to go into. So Coach, love to hear the standards and pillars of your program.
Absolutely. We do things in 3 here at St. Marcus, so we have our core values, and our core values: integrity, accountability, and unity. And starts with integrity, right? We want good people first, good men. If you're coaching women's basketball, good women in your program. Yeah. That's ultimately more important. I know you know this, Coach, because you do it, but we're 30-year coaches, 40-year coaches, 50-year coaches. It's about them when they become adults, even more than when they're with us when they're high school players. So, we stress integrity, and that's why our next core value is accountability. We need to be accountable for our actions. And then the unity component is so important in team sports. In basketball, we got to be together with our goals. So, that's where it starts. When I was at LeTourneau University, we had 5 core values, and that worked. One thing I did down here, we're always examining what's working and what's not as coaches, right? That's, you never stop learning, growth mindset. So what I find is, especially with these high school kids, less is more. And so those are our 3 core values. Because when I got here, the first year we had 5, and often in practice, we'd ask the guys, what's our core values? And they'd get maybe 3 or 4 of them. But now I really believe that they absolutely know they'll rattle them off. I got the guys right out there probably changing after practice here, and they'll tell you accountability, integrity, unity. So it starts with that. And then next is just to go with that philosophy. We used to have something when I was at LeTourneau. We had our pillars of play on offense, and then our pillars of play on defense that we had in our locker room. And then that worked, and I liked it. But one thing we did is we simplified it. We want the kids to really know it, embrace it, have ownership in it. So a year ago, we had a meeting with the guys, and we just talked with them about like what it looks like. So we came up with these 3 things, and we got some very nice graphics this summer. I love our hallway now. And we have our core values as one nice graphic. Another one that we have is how we play. And the first thing we say is we have to have Houston intensity, U of H. We have all 3 of them relate to college. So U of H intensity, and we all know how they play. They play relentless on the boards, defense, effort. You watch their practices, we're fortunate enough to be at their practice, and it is all effort. So our intensity is U of H intensity. And then the second thing is we want UConn ball movement. And, I would love to have those actions, that Coach Hurley runs, and, you watch them and it's amazing, how they have so many actions. But at the end of the day, they're moving and whipping that ball around. And that's how you find a great shot, right? Good to great. So we want UConn ball movement. And I know you're going to like our third one, because our third one is Baylor. It's Baylor talk. Baylor talk, because, when they won the national championship years back, they always impressed me. And Coach, because you played, they do such a great job of talking and communicating, and they're so connected, the Baylor program. So those are our three things to play. And it's just real simple: U of H intensity, UConn ball movement, and Baylor talk and communication. So that's the first where it starts. I believe, our programs are like a house, right? You got to have the foundation first. So we really are stressing these things, and then to understand what that is, and teaching them those three things right there, how we play. And then we build it up, of course, with our style of play.
And a lot to unpack right there. And I love the fact that you have core values for what people would say more is like your culture, with how you're going to be as a team, how you're going to show up every day with integrity, accountability, and unity. But then you have another set that goes along with your play. I've noticed that sometimes coaches will blend the two, or their culture really is all about their style of play, but doesn't really apply to maybe how are we going to talk to each other in the locker room?
Right.
How are we going to react when we lose? So like you and I think love fast basketball. If fast basketball was a part of our foundational piece, how does that really relate to when, a player gets in trouble? And how are we going to handle this as a team? So I love those three that you have. It made me think of, I was reading, what's Joe Ehrman's book, Inside Out Coaching. And because you said we're coaching for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it made me think that a guy would ask him, hey, how's your team going to be? And he would answer, he'd say, I'll tell you in 20 years.
Right.
Meaning, like, what kind of men are they going to become? Coach, like, I've thought about trying that. And I said it one time, but I think I delivered it almost like I don't know, like kind of snarky. I was like, man, I'll tell you in 20 years. And he kind of went like this. Like, I was like, no, listen, I think we'll be good, but this is what I meant.
Right.
Love that. And then connecting it to the colleges, such a cool thing, because to me, it just makes it more real and alive, and something that a program that they've watched that they can actually point to. A lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I love that too, to tell you in 20 years. And you said that in a parent meeting right off the bat, that I could see them being a little bit like, huh? But then when you explain it, I think the parents are actually going to like that more. And that's the thing too, Coach, the 20, 30 years, I've been doing this a while now. And there's nothing better than when they come back to you and they're like, man, Coach, that stuff you were saying, or those core values or whatever, we use them now in our life as a parent, or in my job, in my work, or as a coach. We have a lot of guys who now are in the coaching business who played in our program. So I love that part of coach. That's probably my favorite part. I love basketball. I eat, sleep, and breathe it, like I love it, live it. But as far as them growing into young men, that's my absolute favorite part.
When you were starting out, was that the thing that you were really focused on, or was it the X's and O's piece? And over time, it became them?
Man, Coach, what a great question. So I was fortunate enough to grow up in Wisconsin in the 90s, and we had excellent coaches up there. Dick Bennett was the coach at Wisconsin Green Bay. When I graduated high school in 1993, I went to his basketball camps. We had Bo Ryan, who was a coach at Platteville. Both of them went on to be the Wisconsin Badger coach. And so I attended their basketball camps, and I just loved basketball, and I knew I wanted to do something in basketball. So when I was fortunate enough at a young age to get some jobs and move up, I was assistant at D2, and I got my first head coaching job. I think I was 29 at Katy Seven Lakes. And at 29, I'm 49 now, 20 years ago, I was consumed with winning. I was consumed with the X's and O's. I was a basketball junkie. I know that I did stress. I always stressed, let's be disciplined. Let's be good people. Let's put others first. But as you grow and I know you know this and the audience listening, but as you grow as a coach, you get perspective on things. You never stop chasing winning. We're all competitive if we've been doing this a while, right? We all want to win on Friday nights, Tuesday nights, whenever. But also, you start to see things and you put more of an emphasis, and I have put more of an emphasis on this growing the young men through our core values and just accountability factor. So yeah, I definitely have grown as a coach there. It'd be interesting to see sometime, and I still talk to kids who played on those teams, and they make jokes that I was very disciplined back then, but I was laser focused on some things maybe now that right now I focus on some other things with coaching the guys.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I feel the same way. I think when starting out at Faith, and I inherited a really good group that first year, and they took this kind of pressing, running and gutting and shooting three style that me and Wes Watson were doing at McKinney. I just basically duplicated that system, brought it over here.
Right.
And luckily they bought into it and ran with it, averaged 82 points a game, won a lot of games. So at the end of that first year, I thought, okay, this is a system that can work anywhere in any year. Doesn't matter what the kids are. Like I don't think I gave those players enough credit. And then I thought, man, if I start doing the math here, like if I do this for 40 years, I'm going to be up there, I'm going to be thinking that every year was going to be like that. And then it takes a couple humbling seasons of some losing, some parents and maybe players not being all about what I was promoting and doing. And then I think it's also like what Rick Corbett said. He said, it takes you 10 years to really to become the head coach you're going to be, like to learn really who you are. And looking back over that, like assistant is different. Like a lot of learning in those years, but almost like starting square one, year one. And then, about 10 years in, I started to realize, man, what's really important? And kind of like what Gannon Baker said, it's the living trophies. It's not the trophies that are sitting in our case that have some names on it I don't even know before me. And when I leave here one day, that people won't even care about our names, but living trophies. And I'm rambling a little bit, but one thing social media wise, I always try to find new things to do and trying to keep it fresh. And I started this living trophies kind of theme where go back to year one, and I asked them to send me a picture of them and their family now. If they're single, at least them, maybe a pet, a girlfriend, or if they have a family. I took that picture and I put it next to their playing picture and started once a week putting those out as a living trophies. And hopefully the idea is that I think when we do that, it's not just for other people to see it, but just a reminder to me about what's most important.
Right. Absolutely, Coach. I love that. It's a great idea right there. I like that. And that is why we do it. We love the game. We love everything about it, but keep in perspective of that living trophy. And we're going to go through adversities too, right? And it's not all roses all the time. And that could be adversity with your team and losing, but it also could be adversity with these kids going through problems at home or losing a loved one or, having cancer or something, that we have to be there for them. And even if we're not there physically, they can remember some of the advice and coaching that we did. Because ultimately we're coaching people, not just coaching basketball. We're teaching basketball, we're coaching people. So
and those are the coaching paychecks that you get years later. Because all of us know it's not for the money right now. Right. So the coaching paychecks we get are the ones where, whether it's a kid that was maybe always seemed to be fighting a little bit of the culture or what we were selling, didn't really seem like he was on board. But then you get that text from him that says, you know what, like I'm 24, I get it. Like I understand. Yeah. So that's the idea of us planting seeds and just watering. And we might not get to see the fruit, but we got to stay faithful in that.
Absolutely. 100% agree, Coach. Love that.
And I love the fact that, again, with your three, because you just mentioned a lot of things that teams and players will go through most likely each year. If your culture is just about X's and O's and how to execute there, then I think there's going to be an empty feeling. Like our programs have to have an overarching theme that is bigger than basketball, or else I don't know. I think players see through that a little bit. Yeah. So I think your integrity, accountability, unity, man, what a great way to start off.
Right. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. I agree 100%.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Scoreboard Media. Scoreboard Media works with high schools across the country to run professional sponsorship programs on their LED scoreboards. Whether you already have LED and you just want to supercharge the revenue, or you want to use sponsorship revenue to buy new LED video scoreboards, Scoreboard Media can help. They work with sponsors and advertisers locally, regionally, and nationally who want to connect with your school's community. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to start the conversation and see what's possible.
Okay, I've been waiting. So, favorite style to play, to teach? Can't wait. Go ahead.
Coach, I think we're like in this. We play fast. We play fast, and I've been doing that for a while. So I'll just take you back a little bit of my history of style of play. So when I came, I mentioned some of the coaches I played for, and if you know anything about, not played for, I wish I played for Dick Bennett, but I went to his basketball camps. And growing up in Wisconsin, we had just excellent basketball up there. It's not, you don't have as high level of players going D1 as you do in Texas, and Texas is just so many talented players everywhere, right? But in Wisconsin, you do have, it's similar in Indiana. I'm not saying it's Indiana, but it's similar in that you have really good basketball and great coaching up there. But the play style in general is been very man-to-man defense that Wisconsin grinded out. And that's how I grew up. I had a high school coach who taught that. I still take things to this day about some of the things and lessons he taught us, both on and off the court. Great coach, Pete Kidd. I'll give him a shout out. He's in the Wisconsin Hall of Fame. When I had my first head coaching job at Seven Lakes, if people would ask me maybe to speak at a clinic or something, they wanted to hear about our defense, our man-to-man defense. And we would play, up tempo, but not what I would say would be fast. Now you fast forward, and we won a lot there. Went to regionals twice, had, I think, one of the more successful programs in Houston. At 38 or 39, I guess I was when I got the Laterno job. And so now I'm a Division III head coach. Division III head coach, and Division III is a little different. You have big rosters and a lot of people. And the first year I took over a program, I think they averaged maybe, 5 wins the previous 4 years. So they were down. It just was one of those things, not because of coaching or anything, just they were down at the bottom of the ASC. So it was a great challenge. And that's why I was excited to turn them around. Well, our first year, we struggled. It was one of those things, and we didn't have our players. We recruited and we inherited the team, and I got the job in the summer. We tried all different things. So going into year 1 to year 2, I took a deep dive into offense, and I knew offense. Obviously I got hired as a college coach. I hope I know what the heck I was talking about. But at that time, I studied a lot of programs. I spent a lot of time studying Notre Dame, and spent a lot of time just studying all the concepts that they had in their motion offense. But we wanted to play that style, but play it faster. So then at Laterno, we played fast. How fast can we get that ball in the scoring zone? How fast can we find the first good shot? We want to play fast without being a high turnover team, of course. If we're turning it over too much, then we're not being productive, functional fast, as Coach Neighbors would call it at Arkansas. But what we wanted to do is play fast, and the guys like it. You could recruit to that style, and it did help us. I was there for 7 years as a head coach. I think the last 4 or 5 years there, we won the most games in the ASC of every team, and we won the ASC championship with the NCAA tournament twice. 1 year, we averaged 94 points a game. We had the National Player of the Year, Nate West, who averaged, I think, maybe 29 or 30 points his senior year. Is the National Player of the Year. So playing that style. We play fast, and we came to high school here at San Marcos now. So I've been a high school coach. This will be my 4th year of being at San Marcos. I think we've been in the leaders, if not first or second in the Austin area for 6As in scoring, around 70 points a game. So we still play fast and play out of spacing. So we remember in the beginning, I said we keep things in 3. So here are our 3 offensive. We start with ball tough. That's the first thing, because I don't care what offense you're playing. If you're spraying it around to the other team and throwing it in the stands, you're not going to be successful. You get 0 points per possession on a turnover, right? So the first thing we got to teach our guys, ball tough, protect the ball. So we say protect the ball, okay? And then the second thing is we play with spacing. So in the full court, we teach our spacing, how we're running. Spacing is not just a half court thing. Spacing is a full court thing, how we sprint to the scoring zone. We don't run a post up the middle and stay in the middle and, run the old Carolina breaks. We're sprinting to the corners. We're space the floor. We're pitch aheads. We're crossing Main Street. And then from there, we're playing with our spacing. Now our component is movement. We want to move it to find the first great shot. And if you're open, we want our guys to have confidence to shoot the ball. No one is Steph Curry, and even Steph Curry misses half his shots, right? So when you're open, shoot the basketball and go rebound there, sucker. We're going to go hard to the offensive glass. So that's our concept. That's how we play. Of course, there's some things with the spacing and concepts with our break and everything that we could talk about if you want. But that's our style of play on offense. And then man to man, we want to match that style a little bit with our pressure man. We're not I haven't been a heavy pressing coach. Will we mix it in? Yes, just to give them a different look. And in the scouting report, maybe talk about it. But most teams that play the San Marcos Rattlers, they're going to play against man-to-man, play with that intensity, that we talked about, U of H intensity.
Coach, I have some questions. And because there's a lot of good stuff there. And I think we do see the game in a very similar way. I did write down too a little bit. I'd love to get into a little bit of your journey at some point. High school, college, high school, kind of that order.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that. But first, I think my first question I wrote down was, what does fast mean? Because a lot of people say fast, and I would argue that very few really do play fast. Yeah. And sometimes it has to do with how many points you are scoring in a game, but that could also be year to year. Like, we have a pretty talented shooting group this year. Last year's team was one of our least talented shooting groups, but we still play fast. So, what does fast mean to you?
Right. What fast means to me is we want to get the ball, and first of all, if the team misses a shot and we're going to go rebound, box or rebound like everybody else, right? And we get the ball, okay, we're in what we call jailbreak. We are sprinting to spots and we are going downhill and fast. If you have a streak player pitch ahead, go. But we are not looking for our point guard necessarily. If we have a quick pass,
a little bit positionless.
A little bit positionless for sure. We are getting it up and we are going. If they make a shot and they score, okay, now we're into our spot. So our point guard's circling through, trying to catch it up the court in the speed zone, below the free throw line, slow zone, above the free. So we want to catch in the speed zone and pitch ahead if we have it, get downhill if we have it. But we want to get the ball in the scoring zone fast. But the thing that we use is terminology a lot is ball speed. We don't want to be sticky. And I know, a hot term is 0.5 decisions or 1 second decisions. And, we do say that. We say 1 second decisions. Sometimes you have to hold the ball more than a second to let someone come off the screen, right? I don't get carried away with that. We like to tell our guys, just don't get sticky, and sometimes it can be a little gray, a little subjective, But we're not going to yell at them. We're not a big yell at the guys program, but we're just going to say things, kind of put in their head, hey, you're a little sticky there. What could have we done right there? Probably moved it a little quicker, coach. Yeah, just ball movement. You got it on the next one. So fastest ball speed, because we want to find an advantage, keep an advantage, and then find that shot, right? And so if we have that advantage, obviously if it comes off pick and roll, if it comes with someone beat his man off the dribble, we want to keep that advantage and keep that ball moving until we find that good shot.
Man, I love the distinction between the 5 seconds and the ball being sticky, because you're right on the money. I think it's a good, if you have a drill that teaches them whether they should read shot or read move it, their 0.5 terminology really it plays in there. And I think it's good for players just to think about, I need to know what I can do right off the bat. And if that's taken away, what answer do I have? What's the solution to the problem? But you're right. You're so right, though, on the ball staying in someone's hand, especially one of your better playmakers. So, we don't have positions, we have playmakers. And so one of our better playmakers, if he sees either the double gap or triple gap it's creating in front of him, it's wise to slow play. Or if he already has that space, and then I think one of the most unique skill sets players can have is we call it see the game. When you see the game, you are slowly walking towards your defender, almost rocking them to sleep, and then getting into a dynamic load up or drop. But it's because he's seeing the game past that player where the gap is, because defenders don't see where the gaps are, especially guarding the ball, because it's behind them. Mm-hmm. And so offense can choose to attack quickly if it's already there, or sometimes it needs to be sticky. Sticky to me, where I get pissed off with that, is when there is no advantage and the ball it wants to move and you're holding it. But if you have one and you're just waiting and baiting, I'm okay with that. And that is where it's not black and white. There is some gray. And I love, like, that's when you see the feel start to grow in players over time.
Oh, Coach, 100% agree with everything you just said. And that's how we try to play too. And what we say with our guys is we use the term energy ball. Is every time the pass, I actually got this from my wife, so I'm going to give my beautiful wife a shout out. We'll have 30 years of being together next week, and 25 years of marriage. So yeah, thank you. So anyway, she said it one day. She said, every time that ball moves, a long time ago, like when I was selling, every time that ball moves, it just seems to get a little bit more energy. You guys seem to make it a little bit more when it moves around. So we use that term, an energy ball. And so like when it touches, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of a sudden it hits 5 people, boom, we got something. But we want energy balls a lot of times with ball speed. But I'm with you too. If you do need to set your man up, we have a really good point guard, Cash Good, very dynamic player, and he needs to set up sometimes. And I don't want him to get rid of it in 0.5. I want him to read the defense, set that ball screen up or whatever. So he's going to have maybe a little bit. And then you have guys maybe that are a little bit more, we need them to be ball movers, quick swing when you're open, shoot the ball. Okay. So that's all part of that offense, and just gelling together. You want to gel together on defense. You want to talk, communicate, all that's so important, but you need that on offense. You played on those college teams, I played with Baylor, and when you guys were moving and grooving, you guys were gelled in one unit. And the national championship team at Baylor, I know their defensive intensity was unbelievable, but boy, they were so fun on offense too.
They really were fun. And I'm gonna push back a little bit. My first 3 years, Coach, we're running flex, not a lot of gel.
Not a lot of gel. No.
When Kansas is denying our ball reversal up to half court, Coach Bliss is just yelling at us to move it. Like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
No, but I definitely get what you're saying there. I love the idea of the ball having energy. The ball wants to move. And one thing that we like to say is make the ball work.
Yes.
Like, make the ball work.
Like that.
Because the ball should be working harder than we are working individually. And you know what? Like, the majority of our turnovers happen from us working too hard. And that doesn't mean lazy. That doesn't mean anything like that. But the idea is, if you got the gap, you got the advantage, take it, and then that's the ball working for you. But if it's too hard, if it's single gaps to your right and left, man, just make the ball work. Make the ball work really works against zones. Because in my opinion, we don't need player movement against zones. We just need to be in dangerous spots, and we need to make the ball work. When I watch and golly, I don't want to come across as like either a know-it-all or like I'm disrespecting some, but there are some great zone sets or zone continuities that I see the value in it. But man, we get the best shots when dudes are fixed, maybe small movement in the back row, but that ball is working. And then we're all allowed to shoot open shots. How do you guys, it's like what Doug Novak said. He's like, it's not that you have to make it, it's that you have to take it. And when that's the mentality of everybody in your team, you get dangerous shooters, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's funny when you asked me earlier about, I agree with that, Coach. When I was a younger coach, you have your set plays versus zones, right? And now I don't like to even use the word set plays. I just call it everything an entry. We got that from Notre Dame because you're entering it, and then ultimately it's what behind the play, right? So we had some zone hitters, the loop or running this shallow, all this stuff. But what I find too is you don't need zone. If you have guys that have confidence to shoot, willing to share the ball, and you space the floor and whip that ball around, you're going to find a good shot. You're going to find a good shot. And that's it right there. I enjoy that.
And that's why
you got to have good shooting.
That's why zones work too. Like running the zone. That's why it works, is because you're playing against a team sometimes that's trying to move all over the place.
Yeah.
Just standing and waiting for you. And there's a fear of missing a shot. Yeah. So one of our biggest things is discussing, what does a miss mean? What does a miss mean to you? And really, for most players, a miss means that I may come out. A miss means that I may get yelled at. A miss means that I may not be allowed to shoot anymore. A miss means I'm letting my team down. Like, you got to define all of that, and you've got to cut that out. And you've got to let your guys know that if it is a wide open jump shot within your shot scale, that miss means absolutely nothing. Or if anything, you can take it a step further. That miss means we're about to make the next one. We're about to get hot.
Yep.
Shoot to stay hot. Shoot to get hot. Shoot to stay hot. So I think, man, sorry.
No, I agree. And that miss also means it gives your guys a chance to offensive rebound that 3-pointer and put it right back up. It's better than a turnover. Have confidence in your shooting. I agree with you, Coach.
Coach, you nailed it. I do think playing fast, being ball tough is really important. Fast does not mean dumb.
Right.
And that's a distinction you got to make too. Fast and in control is what probably you and I are really searching for, which is a fine line. Do you find that in the beginning of the year, the turnovers are higher? And then is there a point in the year where that flips almost?
So last year's team was just a little different team, and move forward, learn from the past and live in the present, right? But last year's team, that was our bugaboo, was the turnover. The 2 previous years I've been in here at San Marcos, we were fast, high assist, and low turnover for our style of play. Last year, the turnover got us, and we never really overcame it like we should, and we're really working on it this year. So something I had at Laterno, we do them here. We change the way we do them a little bit, but I call them my Be Solid drills, Be Solid series. So to start practice, when I was at Seven Lakes towards the end of my time there, and then at Laterno, we did them. We always would start practice with Be Solid series. So we had a list of, there's probably 20 drills. Some staples that we would have might be the baseline, the Spurs passing, Villanova passing, playing off 2, just sharing, passing, partner passing, popping it, and really being intentional about 2 hands. So that helped a lot. When I was at Laterno, we actually led the nation in assist to turnover ratio 1 year, and we were always top in the ASC or top 3. We have really good teams in the ASC, but out of those 10, 12 teams, we were always top 3 in assist to turnover ratio, usually number 1. Here we still do the Be Solid series, but what I find too is we're manipulating it more to do things against live play or dummy defense, or just have someone there. But so we're still doing things. We'll have some passing drills, and everyone differs in their thoughts on this. I know Chris Oliver, I have so much respect for Chris Oliver, but I don't agree with everything he says, all the time. The 3-man weave, I know they have the shirts with the no 3-man weave and all that. And I totally get that.
McCormick
right?
and his fundamentals.
Exactly. And I totally get that. But I think every now and then, everything you do as a head coach, you should know the why, right? And it's important the kids know the why. But so when you're looking at your practice plan, if you're doing 15 things in practice, what's the why? Is there a purpose for every one? And sometimes and saying this, I don't want to point out, we don't do the 3-man weave, but we do full court passing drills, 4-on-0 passing. And the purpose of that sometimes is a little different. What it is just get that ball, get that feel of the ball in your hands, hopping it, running, sprinting, saying names. So we're talking early in our practice, and just an energy drill for a couple minutes. Now, if we did 60 minutes of that, we probably wouldn't be any good.
Right.
But to do 2 minutes of that, just getting the energy and the clapping and popping the basketball, maybe setting a goal with our layups as part of it, that we do against the clock, so things like that. So we would do this. I'm kind of getting away a little bit, but bringing it back to turnovers. We try to do as much play off 2 and not always pass off 2 right now. If younger coach 20 years ago would go, what the hell is that pass that I let our guys, hook pass, whip pass? We throw all those, and I'm sure you guys do too, because you're very creative offensive coach. Well, I'm okay with that, that hook pass back off a ghost screen. And, so we're working all those, and we work on those early in practice. And this year we really got to get our turnovers down. And I do, I heard Coach Neighbors say this, and he hasn't had to do it at Arkansas, but he said, and they play very fast on the women's side, high scoring, confident shooters. And he said, if the turnovers become a problem, we're going to slow it down. And the girls know that. So, that's, the guys want to play fast, the girls want to play fast. So last year they became a little bit of a problem, and we did change styles of play. I'm not saying we got out of totally playing fast. We had a big man, an offensive lineman, a great kid. He's at LSU right now as an offensive lineman, 6'8", and we played a little slower. This year we're back to probably the style of play I want. but you also have to fit your kids. And he was it's hard to play as fast as we want with him, but you got to adjust to it. So we'd go inside, play a little inside out. But this year we got to take care of the ball better and still play fast. We have a great point guard. We got some great scorers and players in Josiah and Donovan and just good role players around them and Sergio and all these guys. So I'm excited how they're blending and working this fall for that.
Know where I line up on the fake fundamentals idea or Chris Oliver. Like fake fundamentals, Brian McCormick says the 1 mile test is just ridiculous for basketball. And I can see that. He's very much against the 3-man weave. And man, I've done 3-man weave. We've done that here a lot. And I agree with you. I think working on passing is important because you do it 3 to 4, 5 more times than you ever shoot in games, as a player. And so that's a skill that's neglected. I think there's so many ways that you can get at passing. You can do it with stationary ball handling, which a lot of people are against too. But I think every time you do wraps like Pistol Pete taught, that is creating better feel and better control, which leads to better passing. So we're going to still do some of those things. One thing I tried to do, especially when you want to play this style, is take some of the pressure off of the players. Take some of the things off of their plate. So at every parent meeting at the beginning of the year, I tell the parents and players, this is our style of play that we're trying to achieve offensively. Here are the 2 things that are going to happen. Early on, we're going to shoot a very low percentage. We're going to shoot a ton of threes that are open, and we're going to shoot them, but we're not going to make very many. So right there, I'm kind of almost taking that, lifting that off of it. It's not up to the players. I'm already letting you know this is going to happen, guys. If you surprise me and make a ton, that's great. But right. I'm okay if you don't. And then the turnovers, I tell the parents the turnovers are going to be really high, but then come late November, early December, it's going to flip. Now, obviously, I don't want it to start that way, but I do believe it's like what Spoelstra said years ago when LeBron and all those guys were in Miami and they were trying to get up and down and play. He's like, right now, it's just too fast for them. But then he said at some point, it's going to slow down. They're still fast, but and he slowed his speech. And I think that is what happens is you got to teach foot on the gas from day one and allow the chaos to flow, but understanding that at some point it will slow down for them. I think what might stifle that is getting upset with those things early on. Hey, we're going to run for every turnover 10. Well, then they're not going to play hard and they're not fast and they're not going to take chances. Or listen, if we don't shoot a certain number, you can't shoot anymore. Well, then they're going to have that fear. I want them to be unconscious and I want them to have this type of confidence that borderlines insanity. But it is. But you mentioned something huge, though. You said playing off of 2 feet. Those habits, though, you do need to evaluate why we're missing, why we're turning it over, and go back to what your habits are. Because I believe that if you play fast with good habits, turnovers will go down over time. If you're just jumping off of 1 foot and playing with hope, based on hope all the time, I don't know if it's going to change.
Right. I agree. And that's playing fast and having a plan, right? Understanding spacing, where I got to get to. If you're a corner team and we are, we want to streak down the floor. Whenever we have a streaked player ahead of the defense, we want to throw it over the top.
Yep.
But the reality is that doesn't happen that much, in a game. So, we might get that twice a game. But then after that, we are sprinting to the corners, right?
It's dangerous place on the floor.
But what I tell our guys is declare land. Put the flag down in the corners. We have that space
like that,
and then we're playing out of that. And all the different things we can do into our dribble handoffs, into our pitch through, into our drag screen, into our slice action downhill. But then what we want to do is with that, if we play and teach the fundamentals playing off 2 and understand moving the ball, playing strong, and giving the guys confidence to shoot the ball, ultimately, as the team forms an offensive identity, the ball's going to find the right people. That's why I say sometimes the guys who are maybe your leading scorers early in the year and they didn't get their 20 points. First of all, please don't worry about that, guys. It's a long season. He'll take care of himself. Don't get caught up in the stats. But with saying that, as the season goes on, the ball's going to find the right people. It will. And you'll just see how that works. And then the shots that the guys who need to take them a little more, they're going to get more. But it's fun to do that when you can do it fast. But I agree with you. Everybody at their press conference in college, there's rarely someone who says, we're going to play slow, we're going to grind it out,
we're going to have a bad culture.
exactly, and have a bad culture, but then it's ultimately like everything. It's how you do anything is how you do everything. That's the quote on our podcast. We have the Let's Talk Basketball, Lindy LaRock. She's an amazing coach at UNLV. And she said that. I know she didn't coin that. It came in from the business world, but that's a quote we tell our guys over and over. How you do anything is how you do everything. So each day we have to have these daily habits, and they will transform into our gameplay.
I love that you brought up the fact of the scoring, maybe coming from different people. I think that's one fear of playing more of a pace and space offense, positionless even at times, not running a lot of sets for players, especially on live ball. And that's one thing I feel really good about is in the last 11 years, I don't think I've ever, and that's not an exaggeration, but if it's made bucket and we're going or off of a miss or steal, I've never once stopped them. 2.5 minutes left in the game, different. If they're 8 points or less, we'll hold it because there's no shot clock. But other than that, we're gonna run and gun, and we're gonna do what we do. But I think that's a fear: is what if the wrong guys are taking shots? Well, one goes back to skill work. I think you train them all to be like stars. Train them all the same way. Here's the level that we want our best players to be at, and train them all like that. I think it makes your best players better. But then, man, I think it raises the level of those players that are, if we dumb it down for these guys, nobody's really improving a ton. So the goal is to train them all like stars. But then you with good skill work and the right mentality with shooting and the confidence that you can instill, you don't really have a wrong guy on the floor anymore. But years ago when me and Wes Watson were kind of going through this, our first year was very balanced with all the guys we had. So we had 3 or 4 on the floor at all times that could shoot. The next year, we had one really dynamic scorer and a bunch of good guys. And that was the fear. I was like, Coach, if we're just straight 4-out-1 in dribble drive, but Coach, what if AJ doesn't get enough touches? And like you said, playing fast, the ball has energy. It knows where to go. Players know, especially if you're doing shot selection and playing shooting games all the time, this is okay, but that's AJ right there, man. I'm going to take that one more, and we're going to celebrate the crap out of that one more. I looked down at a halftime score, and he's got 25 at one point. I'm like, okay, we're not calling any plays for him. The dude's scoring, and I've just seen that over time. I rarely thought man, our best player just never touched it.
Yeah, I agree. And we at Laterno, we were fortunate to have Nate West, just a dynamic player, and it was the same thing. We had a few calls that we would call for Nate, but it was out of our flow of play that he would score and get these huge numbers. And obviously the guys know when Nate's hot, it's going to be one more to Nate, and get it in his hands and play out of that. And then we've also coached teams, throughout my years of coaching that there wasn't necessarily a true leading scorer, and then I was going to figure out sometimes that could be very dangerous too to guard. It's scouting reports. Sometimes if a team runs a lot of sets, you kind of like that. So you feel like, okay, we can beat them the spots when they're calling this or that. And that's happened, against us in my years of coaching. So you find that the more free they can play and play with that trust, that it's hard to guard from a defensive perspective.
Do you feel like high school guys can notice when a player's hot and in the moment, be conscious enough to actually find them? Have you seen that?
I have seen it, and but sometimes they don't, especially the younger levels. If we're in our freshman gym practice and a kid hits 2 threes in a row, and then he's wide open and Johnny shoots the ball, you're like, dude, come on, man. Like everything, we try to even teach them that, just to understand, when someone's hot, let's find them, or let's set a screen. You're calling for Timmy, come here. I got you. I'm going to set that screen. Right. And go from there. But at the varsity level, I think they see that, guys maybe hit 2 threes and then they're like, hey, let's get them something. We have a couple calls that we have to try to find a quick 3, and they're calling their name.
And I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Arsenault from Grinnell, maybe. But we were talking about this very thing because I have noticed over the years, because I am completely hands off. It is them creating it when we're flowing, what we say when we're flowing. I've noticed though at times the guy hit 2 or 3, and we're not actively searching for him, or we're missing him. And then I don't want to get like passive aggressive with him, like, hey, it'd be a really good idea to find Bo. He just did.
Yeah.
But so what coach said is he would yell Streak and the guy's name. Streak and the guy's name just meant in our flow, like we are all actively, we're not turning down stuff that's there. Like we're not running a play and missing the gold right in front of us, but we are actively searching for the guy. I experimented with it, but I thought maybe that's because I don't say much. So if you do yell Streak, Bo,
right,
maybe that is a eyes up moment. Awareness.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And you sometimes you are blessed with a group maybe who has good basketball IQ of just kind of seeing that and recognize it, and the guys and the players are doing that. But that is a good way, and that's a deep Grinnell. But we never played him when I was at Laterno. But that'd be a tough team to prepare for. Obviously, the way they played 5 in, 5 out. Subbing.
It's on my bucket list. My bucket list to attend one of the games there. And on the shelf back here, it has, because I tried it here 1 year. I think at the high school level, it'll get you fired. I do, because you don't recruit the guys to do it. I had a parent meeting where I sold them on the hockey style. Like we're going to press on the ball always, all this stuff. And we were 7-2, averaging 94 a game. And then football came in, dynamic shifted, and all of a sudden, like dudes weren't getting the same amount of reps. Your best players are playing as much as your worst players. That rarely seems to work out well. And I had to abandon it halfway through the year, but I have my books back there that every so often, the road to 138, all of Jack Taylor scoring 138 points.
Right.
It's actually about the Grinnell system and how he came up with it. And all through the years, my wife always tells me, don't read those, because there is a part of me that I'm drawn to, because that fast. Like that's as fast as you get.
Are you ready to level up your team's skill development? Well, Bology is here to support you in driving accountability and skill development. The Bology app is more than just tracking. It's a resource for enhancing skills, knowledge, and mindset across your program. Join coaches all across the country using Bology to simplify training and empower your athletes. Let's build consistency, accountability, and skill development together.
Going back to something that I had a question for you. Can you say you play fast offensively and then you match it with fresher man? Can you play fast offensively and play slow defensively?
That's a great discussion that I've had with many coaching friends over the years. Hear different ideas with it. Ultimately, I think most people agree is you want an offense that matches your defense, a defense that matches your offense. I guess in terms I think that everyone could probably think of would be Virginia, a defense playing their pack defense. And what if they would turn around and, try to play, as fast as Alabama does on offense? Would that work? I don't know. Alabama coach, it's amazing offensive coach, but also they're very aggressive on defense, with their playing in the passing lanes and how they play. So I think it would be hard, but I do think you can be very disciplined on defense, play a gap defense, and when you secure the ball, still play it, fast, where we're getting ahead, we're pitching ahead and playing out of speed. I think if you think about it, though, you want to have some identity. You always want your teams to, what's your DNA, of your team. And I think our DNA is, hey, we're going to play fast and we're going to have an aggressive mindset. So, that's the kind of way we want to be on defense. Even though we're not a pressing team, we're aggressive man-to-man defense. And I think that just matches, at least for us, that marriage together. Just we feel good about who we are. We're not on our heels. We're up in you, and we're going to do our best to dictate.
I think it's a great answer. I don't know if it's possible. Tried it once, pack line, and we had our lowest offensive output of any year here. And I also felt like it's a little bit of joy. Like, I don't know, you've probably seen it. Playing fast, I just see joy. Like, I think kids enjoy doing it. And what gets your competitive juices flowing on the defensive side? Is it back in and waiting and standing and being very careful? Or is it getting up and taking chances and crawling up in a guy?
Right.
So, like, it's hard to have that one that one mentality flowing through you, and then to almost have to go to the exact opposite. But there's been times where I thought, man, we might win more if we're more controlled on the defensive end.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I just don't see, like I love the marriage idea. I just don't see it working.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I think overall it would be hard. That's a great one. Like if we had a poll of like, it could, what do you think out there? But I think we're kind of in agreement on that situation. And to those teams' credit, obviously Coach Bennett won the national championship, but on offense, they're very patient with their blocker mover motion offense that I grew up watching in Wisconsin. And, just watching them play, they want to pass it around, but they're going to play late into the shot clock often before they shoot the ball.
You had a lot of success doing this. I mean, golly, 38-4 a couple of years ago, turned around LeTourneau. So you've had success playing fast. Are you comfortable losing playing fast?
Oh man, that's a great question. No, I'm not. If I felt we didn't have the team to do it, we would definitely change our playing style. I want our teams to win as many games as possible, doing the right way with integrity to the game, if that makes sense. That's important to me. I want to play the right way. And I feel sharing the ball, playing the way the kids want to play and playing our style, very similar, I think, to your style up there in Dallas is a great way to play. But if we didn't, and I know our varsity team, we do have it this year, that style, and it fits the guys. But if it didn't, I would be okay, coming up with something else. I would, if we have to play zone to win a game and zone up a team, we're going to do it. I haven't, I've been stubborn. A lot of people think I'm too stubborn because we play man. It's just, you get your guys, if you're a man coach, you're a zone coach, whatever, you get the guys believing that you're got A, B, C, right? Our A is our man. And then you get into the game like, hey, we're going to go zone. It's the guys who tell me almost all the time. They're like, Coach, no, we got this. We're in man. We got this.
Yeah.
And so we end up staying man. And sometimes like, maybe I
believe in them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, exactly. And then so that we end up staying man more than we do. And sometimes every year, my assistant coach, I've been so fortunate to have such great staffs. I've had so many coaches who've been under me who are head coaches now, very successful. And I'm thankful for them. But they laugh whenever I say, yeah, we're doing a little more zone this year. And they just laugh. They're like, hey, we'll see.
So how do you want us to waste time right now?
Exactly.
What do you want us to waste or to research that's just going to be a waste of time?
Yeah.
I used to think zones were for wusses. I used to think, like my high school coach, we were such a man team.
Right.
I mean, we had to run zone my senior year at Baylor, but that's because we only had 6 players. That's fair. Yeah. But Jeff Clarkson at Naaman Forest was a man guy. Wes Watson was a man guy, but then we did press a little bit at the beginning of it. And then I came here, wanted to press and run man, but then found a 3-2, a pressure 3-2 that Randall Durant at Keller is kind of famous for up here. And has taught a lot of those Keller schools. A lot of schools run it. And I went to it, and it kind of transformed us. But then this last year, we started out, our plan was to be in that 3-2 the whole year. Player came up to me at halftime and said, hey, what do you think about us guarding a man? And I said, yeah, let's try. Because I do think when giving ownership to players is really important, and them feeling comfortable enough to have a voice. Now, I'm very comfortable with saying, you know what, I like that idea. Let's stick with what we're doing right now. But I thought he had a point. And that team, last year's team, just really, like, the competitiveness in them rose to another level because of man. So maybe it's really depends on the team that you play. But I'm less stubborn on the defensive end than on offense, where we will do this. And even if we're playing bigger, faster, stronger, and it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah. Right. And I love that player said that. And then I have a story about that. We went to UT Dallas when I was at LeTourneau, and they were a very good offensive team, man. I mean, just very good. It was my early years at LeTourneau, so we hadn't beaten them in a while. And they run great actions. It's very similar to a Princeton-type offense, and can beat you with the backdoor, the DHOs, the double screens, So anyway, we got to our practice, game day practice, and we said, we practice this little zone we had in our pocket. We're gonna start the game. I think we're going to zone them, and, this is what we're going to do. And they practiced a little bit, and all of a sudden they just all looked at me. They're, Coach, where, and they said a word, they probably, whatever, and a little cuss word in there, but we are going to man these guys. And from that time, I point to that moment that our culture changed, that we became a team that we take more pride in our defense to go with playing fast. And we started guarding a lot better my last, probably, I'd say 5 years that I was at Laterno.
And, that the coach at Cameron, Coach O'Connor, had a great point about you want your players to have comfort in what they're doing and feel familiar in what they're doing. And I thought that was a great way to look at it. Like they were in a zone and it makes sense, but there was maybe a comfort to them or familiarity that wasn't there. And they recognized it, and you listened to it. Like, when are we putting our players in positions on either side of the ball to where we've done it enough and they're confident enough and it works with them that they feel comfortable and familiar with it? I would imagine the times when we struggle or don't look very good, our players don't look comfortable or familiar with what they're doing.
Right. I agree with you. And at high school, there are times, definitely, like you said, that we're going to listen to our players. And then there are times where we just have to take hey, I like that idea. We're going to follow it, but this is how we're going to do it. Because sometimes, they don't have quite that. So when I was at college, at Laterno, especially as the more we were there, we recruited, players maybe that were just a little bit more advanced. It came from advanced high school programs. And it's just some of their, conversations. So if we're at a dead ball, it'd be like, hey, Nate, here are 2 ideas. What do you think? Let's go with it. Boom. And giving them that ownership, like you said, is very important. But you also got to know your group. If you have a young team and, sometimes you might not give them as much, and finding other ways to give them ownership might be hey, where are we going to eat before the game? Chick-fil-A, good idea. Okay. Now during the game, we're going to do this.
Let them choose the things that you don't really care about. And the way that you answer that question is really important, because if integrity, accountability, and unity is your culture, well, we are the gatekeepers. We're the standard bearers of the culture. So if we want them to communicate with each other a certain way, but AJ comes up to me and says, I'd be like, hey, listen, I'm the coach. You're the player. Don't forget that. Just do what I'm telling you. Breakdown in culture. I think, man, that's probably where I went away from post-game talks. Don't do them at all. We need to have to talk for a minute, because it saves us from breaking culture.
Yeah, coach, same. We're the exact same. And I used to give, I felt like when I got home, I gave a great post-game talk. And then I finally realized they didn't remember anything I said.
They wanted to go eat. They wanted to be anywhere but there.
We do the exact same thing. We if we're at home, we go on our mascot. At the beginning, we have 1 minute, circle up. Hey, proud of you guys, love you guys. Tomorrow, practice at 9:30. Thank your families for being here in the student section. Love you. Boom. That's it. And then it might be a text I fire, just a reminder at night. Hey, tomorrow practice at this time. But then the next day after that, we watch a film. You thought about some things. You have a little more clarity. The guys calm down. They're not just on adrenaline. Then we have a great session, a great meeting, a great talk to wrap that game up, put a bow on it.
How many parent meetings do you feel like you are sidestepping because you do that? Because I feel like that's one thing that parents really get annoyed with.
Yeah, that's a great question. Boy, that's a whole podcast sometimes, right? Sometimes the parent involvement, good and bad, in high school athletics, and being a parent of 3 kids are all older now, but, going through it when they played sports, we all have those goggles on, and see our kids, first and foremost. And then you get those parents, those special parents, they really understand it's about the team. And I want goals for my son, but it's about the team. And when you have a collection of that, I've been very fortunate. We have great parents here at San Marcos, so we've avoided it. But I think, and I know you're a very experienced coach, up front is the key to avoiding those parent meetings. The parent meeting before the season, the organization in your program, that this is how we do things before the season starts. That's so important.
And I think that could be a whole podcast, or even a great session at a clinic. And I think the title would be Things I Know Now Because I'm a Parent That I Didn't Know When I Was a Younger Coach. And even with younger kids, because just for a couple examples, long post-game speeches. I thought I was being a real coach by showing how much I cared, keeping them long, keeping them late for practice. After practice, I thought I care so much the parents will be okay with me keeping them after the time that I said practice was up. I mean, all of those things that you do when you're younger that you feel like this is just what serious coaches do. And if these kids care enough and parents care enough, they're going to be okay. I think you're just withdrawing from their accounts when you make those mistakes. And it took for me to have a son at the high school level and him to be going to select practices, especially when he could drive, and getting home at 9:45 at night. I was like, buddy, I thought it was done at 8:30. They kept us 45 minutes after. Like, that is awful. You know, like I felt all that welling up. I think you really gotta think about what. It's not bad to care about your parents' feelings. That's how I feel.
You're so right. And I agree with everything you just said. And younger me, I apologize to those Seven Lakes parents 15 years, 20 years ago that we said practice would get done at 5:30 and we were in the gym till 6:30. I apologize. That was me. But now I am more, if we say we're done by 5, we are done by 5 because, Sundance Wick said, there's nothing more precious than time. And you have to value people's time. And so the key to a good coach and coaching staff is utilizing that time correctly. So if you have time and we all have enough time with our guys and we got to utilize it. And if they want to stay for desert shooting, that's what we call the shooting in the gym when no one's in there. It's like a desert. Those guys, the gym rats, if their parents are cool with that, we let them in that gym and stay until they get picked up.
That's a great nugget right there. If you do want them to stay, make it 100% optional. No winking and no preferential treatment. If they do it, he started because he stays after every day. No, like who's the best 5, and then who gets to play after that. But have a time like that designated. Like we have JAMODI time. Like it's JAMODI time. Just a matter of doing it. But either if they leave, no problem. You know what? It's just like anything else. When you let them choose, a lot of times they choose what you want and they have a lot of fun doing it. Like I love the fact that guys don't run out of there. If I were to mandate, hey, practice is over, don't forget, make 100 before you leave. That's awful. Yeah. But I think you give them that choice and you probably get good results from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Coach.
You mentioned the first grade shot. And I think like one answer to me, like, what does fast mean? How fast do you shoot? Like how quickly are they allowed to take an attempt? Because if you're a Hoosiers fan and he says not 5 passes until we shoot, how many? 5. And then no, that's not fast. And especially if there's not an open shot until those 5 passes, and then you finally find one, that's okay. But are they passing up things? So first grade shot, will you go explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you get the ball in the scoring zone and fast, like we want to do, and you are open it, shoot the ball. I don't care if there's one pass. A lot of people do say, and I understand, and I know the data that shows, if you shoot the ball on this side of the floor, it might be 30-some%. Get it to the second side, it's 40, and then you get it to that side, it's 48, whatever. And we say that too. Swing the ball when we can. But I want our guys to feel comfortable when they're open to shoot the ball. And by open, I don't mean like nobody's on them. 5 guys are over here and they're wide open. I mean, they have room and they know when they have room and they have space, shoot the ball or drive the ball to a shot. If that's what they have, we emphasize with our guys, if you have 2 on you, spray it. C2, spray it. The point guard college, C2, move it. But, and they're good at that, playing off 2. And then we get that advantage. But when the ball comes to you and you're open and you're comfortable, I don't want them thinking, is Coach Miller going to be pissed at me because I shot this shot? Shoot it, let it fly. Kids are not coming out of the game because they shot the basketball and missed the basketball, like you said earlier. It created a chance for an offensive rebound. Now, if they come down and they're, doing silly stuff, and we know the difference, right? The difference, the silly stuff, dribble around one-on-one, fade away with someone in your face. Of course, that's not the flow of our offense. So you just simply come over there and just ask them what could have been a better solution, And I find, and I know your program up there, I believe the same way, that you get those guys thinking that way. like I said earlier, the ball's going to find the right shooter. So our first good shot is when someone feels comfortable. You feel comfortable, let that thing fly.
And you want to see turnovers go down. Let them shoot.
Let's
first few times where they're open. Yeah. The longer we touch the ball, it's almost like a meter. Okay. As our ball possession goes like this, the rate of turnovers or the ability is moving up as well. I think this is an interesting question that every coach should ask their players is, what is the goal of our offensive possession? What's the goal? Like, what are we trying to achieve? I think you'll get a lot of like shot selection. If you say great shot, what's a great shot? There's a lot of different things to a lot of people. So like with the goal of every possession, you'll get different answers. So coach, what's the goal of every possession for you?
Coach, boy, we're a lot alike, my guy. Cause I ask all the teams this when I get basketball camps. I ask kids this all the time because you got to teach us young kids, right? When we have the ball, what is our goal? And a lot of them will say nice coach-like answers. To get a layup because it's the highest percentage. To get an open three, great answer. To get to the free throw line, great answer. But what really is the goal? The goal is to score points, to score the basketball. So what are the solutions that are going to help us do that? Now, then from there, okay, yeah, we got to score the ball. Then I want them to understand the highest percentage is at the paint. Then it's a spray out three. So from there, but our goal is every time we want to get a shot up because that's the only thing that allows us to score a basketball. A turnover gives us 0%. So let's get a shot up.
To me, that's kind of the direction I would go is, what is our goal? Is to get the best shot as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. Now we have best shot defined. So that's not just a little Timmy thing. So that's across half court, coach. Yeah. No, Timmy, it's not. No. Best shot is defined as fast as possible, creates our pace. But what it does to, almost like going back to turnovers are going to be high, shot percentage is going to be low, it lets them off the hook when they miss. They can still be successful with misses. And that's where, like, as a coach, I think it's countercultural what you see at times. But when I would always wonder if I was another coach playing us and we miss a shot, and I'm going, beautiful. That's it. That's it. And he's like, you missed the goal. We achieved it because that's the best shot as fast as possible. Yeah. It's on our scale within our flow. It's kind of like, you can kind of take this too, where if the culture is in the direction that you want and your players are gassing out, like Bonowitz says, then every season can be successful. Depend, like last year for you, golly, I mean, 21 or 27 and 10 last year.
21 and 14 last year.
Games. Like you won a lot of games. You're just in a really hard district. It didn't work out, but man, culture-wise, and were they doing what you asked, you can still have success the same way that you can not score and still have a successful possession.
100%. And you gave my guy shout out Stan Bonowitz over at Concordia. Man, when we would play them, because we were fast at LeTourneau and Concordia is super fast. You talk about some track meets, both hitting double figures, some absolute great games. And that's the thing.
You see some of that on film.
Absolutely. And that's the thing we tell our kids, and I know we're wrapping this up, but we tell our kids, we want to believe, and we want them to believe that they can play college basketball if that's part of their goal setting, right? But like, first go to the games, not just the UT games, not just, going to watch Texas A&M. Go watch Division III basketball. Go watch a LeTourneau UMHB, LeTourneau Concordia game. Go and then go watch St. Mary's or St. Edward's, Coach Andre Cook's teams play. They're phenomenal. And then go watch SFA or Sam Houston State play. Oh my goodness. So it's such high level, and the guys will be, they learn a lot from watching those. If they get a chance to attend those practices, that helps a lot too.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
Coach, before I let you go, I'm going to
absolutely.
get the speed round in. These are going to be quick questions. First thing that pops in your head. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Anything with pecans. I love pecan.
Nice. Greatest shooter of all time?
Got to be Steph Curry. It has to be. Larry Bird was unbelievable and some other great ones, but Steph Curry.
After those 2 minutes of the final Olympic game this summer.
Yes. Yeah.
What is he, 35? Like he's doing that. He's not done. He's not even close to done. Anyway.
So great.
Favorite superhero?
I'm not the biggest into those, honestly, but I'm going to go because my son Kyron loves Batman so much. So I have good memories watching it with him. So therefore it's my favorite.
I've had quite a few coaches say Batman because he was actually a man. So there's a chance that you and I could be
Batman.
We'd have to be a billionaire and have, all that stuff. But he's not Superman. All right. Top 3 dinner guests that you'd want to have from any time period.
Man, I mean, Jesus would be first, foremost.
Take him off.
Yeah, we'll take him off. But so I would say for entertainment, I'm going to have my man Charles Barkley on my side because that's going to keep me entertained. Or I would love to have Barack Obama there. I just think that would be just great having him there. And then I'm going to have Coach K. That's going to be our little dinner group.
It's a good dinner. That's a good one. Best basketball movie of all time.
Wow, there's so many good. I'm going to go with Coach Carter, though. Coach Carter.
Man, have you ever wanted just to grab a kid and slam him up against a wall like that? Like, I think every coach watching that just went, get to that moment, but can't do that. Texting or talking?
Oh, I mean, I say talking for sure, but unfortunately, just the way my day goes, and I do so much dang texting. But ultimately, I text my wife all day, but I love getting to talk to her in the evening when we finally get home. So a little bit of both is more important, but texting is part of our function in 2024, no doubt.
I think we can agree that talking is better and more important.
Definitely.
But if I was asked this question, I would 100% say texting.
Yeah.
I like to text. It's more efficient, and I'm not afraid to say it. But
I agree with you.
Answer the phone when my mom,
You're right.
My wife called.
Yep.
For high school, this is dumb for us, but for high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Shot clock, 100%. 100%.
I didn't have to ask it. Favorite holiday?
I'm going to go Christmas. I absolutely love Christmas from a Christian perspective, and then also you go so hard November, December. And then when you play that last game, whatever it is, December 17th, 18th, 19th, whatever, going on that break, and then you get that family time with Christmas to recharge, get your focus on Christ and feel that Christmas spirit. And then basketball is right around the corner still. I love Christmas.
Nice. You're up 3 on defense with 5 seconds left. Do you foul or no foul?
I think it really depends who you play and who your team is. It definitely does. I've been in that situation several times. And, I think in high school, if I look at the percentages of 3-pointers made, I think that we're going to play it out and play the defense. But we have fouled before. I think both can be successful strategies.
Like that. What book would you give someone?
A lot of books. I'm a reader too, like you. I'm not like my wife's a great, she reads and gives me great books, but mindset. I love the growth mindset concept applying to coaching life every day. So I would probably go mindset and then maybe followed by relentless.
Nice. Yeah. Favorite place to travel?
I would say I love going back home to Wisconsin because I don't get to go back home very much, unfortunately. So we enjoy our trips just to see parents up there and family. So I know that's kind of a lame answer because we get to go see family, but I love those trips. But my wife and I love the beaches. So, we go to Florida, California, anywhere we can go to the beach.
Wisconsin or the beaches. That's your cue.
Yeah, we love places with beaches.
Last one, probably most important in basketball as a player, who is the GOAT?
It's Michael Jordan. I'm a Michael Jordan guy. I touched him as a kid. I got to put my hand on Michael Jordan when security wasn't that great. Yes, in the 1980s, He was playing at Milwaukee. My dad, every year we'd get to go to a game for our birthday, and we went to see the Bulls, maybe his second or third year. Maybe it was third year. You know, I might have been 10 years old, 1985, right? But my brother, this tells you about security now versus then. My brother and I were there. They did their little warm-up. They went back to the locker room, and then the Bulls were coming out. They're about to run out, and they're just there, kind of stretching. My brother and I simply just went under a rope. I put my hand on Michael Jordan's hand on his forearm, and he just looked at me like, this kid's crazy. And someone like looked at me and said, get back. And we unfortunately, there were no cell phones to take that picture, but I still talk about it all the time. Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Haven't washed your hand since. It's Coach. This was so enjoyable. I really wish we had more time because we got through 2 questions in an hour and a half. We've got you down for coming on again. But man, want to thank you so much for everything you're doing to share the game, and love for you to talk a little bit about the podcast and where people can listen to it and check it out.
Yeah, thank you. And this was so fun. I love what you do. First of all, right back at you. I listen to your podcast. It's in my rotation with Slapping Glass and Chris Oliver podcast. And it's the 3 of them. I really do. And I love what you stand for as a coach and as a person. So thank you. Our basketball podcast isn't very active. You know, we do a few in the summers. So we're a slow roll, but it's called Let's Talk Basketball
for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry,
thank you. Yeah, no, it's called Let's Talk Basketball, and we have a YouTube channel. You could go to YouTube where we have put some drills and some different things on our YouTube. We're trying to grow that a little bit, but mostly just anyone who ever wants to talk to me about basketball. I'm at San Marcos High School. Absolutely love it here. And I have an open book to just look me up online, and I'll talk hoops with anybody. I don't care what you do. If you want to talk hoops, I'm all about it.
Man, thank you so much. This was a blast. Really appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.